and determination on the issues that the honourable gentleman cares deeply about.
Thank you. Point of order. First, point of order, Richard Drax.
Most grateful for taking this point of order. At the start of Prime Minister's questions, the Speaker reminded the House of the use of language. Insofar as the debate on Gaza is concerned, it's getting far more emotive, and the language used is questionable in one or two individual cases, as I'm sure she is aware. One of the SNP asked a question about Gaza, and after the question was answered, a member of the SNP, and I cannot identify them, accused the Prime Minister of being Pontius Pilate, which we heard over here very clearly. That language is extremely unpleasant because, as the Honourable Lady knows, Pontius Pilate washed his hands and handed Jesus across to a murderous death. That is not what the Prime Minister is doing. He has impeccable record on this topic and is leading with great courage and conviction in a dispute, in a war in Gaza, that is indeed highly emotive.
Further to that point of order.
Further to that point of order, Owen Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And just for the record, it would be making it very clear and seeking your guidance how to make it clear that it was not a member of the SNP who said any such thing, and I can be absolutely certain about that. So I think members might want to be very clear about which parties are saying things before making such accusations. And how could I put that on the record?
Hear, hear.
I thank the honourable gentleman. I'll come to those other points of order in a moment. I appreciate the point of order made by the honourable gentleman, and I can only say this. Mr. Speaker strives through Prime Minister's questions to keep order in this House, and it has become fashionable to make unnecessary noise for the half hour when the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition are here on the front benches. Generally, this House is well behaved, as it is at the moment, and takes its duties, its responsibilities and its public image seriously. It's very sad if somebody did make the comment which the honourable gentleman has described. I take the point of the honourable gentleman on the SNP bench that if a remark was made about Pontius Pilate, it was not made by the SNP. Actually, as far as the chair is concerned, I don't care who made such a remark. It is wrong to try to whip up bad feeling in this House or anywhere else about the tragedy that is unfolding in Israel and Palestine. And I would urge honourable members, all honourable members, who have different points of view on this very emotive subject, to be very careful what they say, not only in public and in private, but especially in this chamber. And no, I don't think the honourable gentleman can come back. Well, I will allow him.
I'd like to think I am an honourable gentleman, and if indeed I got it wrong, I withdraw the point that it was from the SNP. It came from that side of the House. If it wasn't the SNP, I withdraw that comment.
No, I'm grateful to the honourable gentleman for doing that, because let's at least take that part out of this specific issue. I'm grateful to the honourable gentleman for withdrawing that accusation. It may be that somebody said that. I really don't care what they said or how they said it. They shouldn't be saying anything at all while seated, while someone else is asking a question or the Prime Minister is answering it. And we all in this House ought to bear in mind that what is said and done in here has a much wider audience, and we ought to be setting an example of being reasonable and careful in the way that we use words and phrases, and never to be inflammatory. Point of order, Don Butler.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. And my point of order also relates to Israel and Gaza. ITV News recently broadcast a video showing the killing of an unarmed civilian in Gaza who was waving a white flag, the international symbol of peace. It is not the first time unarmed people have been killed in Gaza while raising white flags. In fact, 3 Israeli hostages were brutally killed whilst being topless and waving a white flag. This is deeply concerning to me, and I'm sure to many people in this House. Now, an Israeli Defence Force commander has indicated that the IDF were responsible, saying, "There are mistakes, it is war." Given that this incident could potentially constitute a war crime, how can we in this House ensure that the government comes to this House to assure us that this incident will be properly investigated and ensure us that UK-supplied weapons were not used in this, and set out what steps are being taken to ensure that Israel follows the ICJ ruling?
I've listened carefully to the Honourable Lady. The point she makes is not a point of order for the Chair. Not at all. She's making a very serious point about a tragic incident that has occurred amongst many thousands of tragic incidents over these last few months. But it's not a point of order for the Chair. She's raising a point that she wants to raise with ministers. The Foreign Office Minister was at the dispatch box last week making a statement on Gaza, and I would anticipate that it's very likely that a Foreign Office Minister or a minister from the Ministry of Defence will be here again within a few days making a statement. If not, then the opposition front bench and others have been most assiduous in asking urgent questions to make sure that ministers come to the House to answer these important questions. But the Honourable Lady is not asking a question that I can deal with from the Chair. She's asking a question that she wants to ask of a minister, and if she wants to ask a question of a minister, then there are various ways in which she can do that. She can put down an urgent question, she can ask for an adjournment debate, she can speak to her own front bench about having an extended debate in opposition time. I won't list them. There are many, many ways in which she can do that, but I cannot answer her question from the Chair. It's not a point of order. Point of order, Patricia Gibson.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I have on 2 previous occasions asked the Leader of the House to correct the record after she told this House on the 11th of January that people in England pay lower taxes than people in Scotland, and we have managed a balanced budget. I quote her words. And at PMQs today, also the Prime Minister incorrectly referred to people in Scotland paying higher taxes than those in England, and I have also notified the Prime Minister that I would be referring to him. Madam Deputy Speaker, the House of Commons Library, via the Office for Budget Responsibility, has confirmed that both of those statements made by the Leader of the House and latterly by the Prime Minister are untrue. The majority of people in Scotland pay lower taxes than people in England, including council tax, and no UK government has delivered a balanced budget since 2000-2001, and that the current UK government pays the equivalent of £300 million per day on debt interest, while the Scottish Government must, by law, balance its budget every year. Now, Madam Deputy Speaker, given that honourable members must correct inadvertent errors at the earliest opportunity, I seek your guidance and advice as to how to ensure that the Leader of the House and the Prime Minister, indeed, corrects the record, and your advice as to what measures can be taken if honourable members repeat factually incorrect information in this place and appear to will...
Thank you. I thank the Honourable Lady. Once again, I appreciate that members want to use the opportunity of raising a point of order to make a point that they want to make. There's a big difference between... Don't shout while I'm speaking. There's a difference between a point of order about procedure in this House and a matter of opinion on whether a matter of opinion in the interpretation of statistics. Now, there is also... Will the Honourable Lady just be quiet and allow me to answer her question? there are inevitably differences of opinion about interpretation of statistics. There are also, as the Honourable Lady says, facts as opposed to opinions. And if facts are stated wrongly in this House, they should be corrected. But it's not for the Chair to make a judgment as to who interprets the facts put before the House in the correct way. That is why we have debates. It's why we have questions. We're not meant to come here and all agree with one another. That's why we have this chamber where a proper debate can take place. But if the Honourable Lady is saying that facts were stated wrongly, then I'm quite sure that a minister will take the first opportunity to correct those facts, and I think perhaps the Leader of the House will take that opportunity right now.
I'd be very happy to, Madam Deputy Speaker. As this is a matter of great concern and urgency to the Honourable Lady, as she would normally raise this at business questions tomorrow, I'm quite sure this has nothing to do with the fact that the former First Minister is in front of the COVID inquiry today. Madam Deputy Speaker, there is nothing like a good old...
Order, no, the Leader of the House. Order, what on earth do you think you're doing? The Honourable Lady raised a point. The Leader of the House is answering an aspect of that point. Now, it's not a moment when shouting should occur. Leader of the House.
To get to the substance of the point, I understand that the Honourable Lady mentions a library paper that she is relying on to do this. That particular library paper is using a figure from the Scottish budget in 2022, which is out of date. And as she will know, that income tax outturns are not going to be reported for many more months. So she cannot make the assertion that she is. What I have done, Madam Deputy Speaker, in my responses at business questions to detailed points on taxation is to give this House direct salary levels and the taxes that people are paying north and south of the border. Whatever our views and political disagreements, I take my responsibilities to this House extremely seriously.
Thank you. Let me make it clear once again. There's a difference between points of order on procedure and matters for debate. And that's why we have debates. And I'm quite sure the Honourable Lady will raise her points in debate on many occasions over the next few weeks, as indeed the Honourable Lady who made the previous point of order will come and make her points in debate. That's what debates are for, and it's not for the Chair to make these decisions.